right before we go any further, like stop eating that heart-healthy whole grain toast every morning. I know that sounds crazy. Your doctor probably told you it was fine. But what I'm about to share with you today could completely change how you think about feeding your body, and more importantly, how you think about starving cancer cells before they ever get a chance to take hold. I've spent over 2 decades working in oncology and integrative medicine. Today, I want to talk directly to you, especially if you're over 50, about the single most powerful category of food that cancer researchers are now calling a natural metabolic disruptor for tumor cells. And yes, one of these foods is something you've probably been told to avoid. How old are you right now? Go ahead and drop your age in the comments below. I genuinely read every single one, and knowing who's watching helps me create content that actually speaks to your life and your body. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the bell notification. I release new videos every week on evidence-based health strategies for people over 50, and I don't want you to miss a single one. Now, a landmark stud. The Bly, published by researchers at the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center, followed over 3,200 adults over the age of 55 for a period of 9 years. What they found was extraordinary. Participants who consistently consumed specific anti-angiogenic foods reduced their risk of cancer recurrence by up to 47% compared to the control group. 47%. That is not a small number. That is nearly half. And the most powerful food on their list? It's number 1 on my countdown today, and I promise you, it is going to surprise you. We're counting down from number 5 to number 1, from powerful to absolutely extraordinary. And before we dive in, I want to ask you something personal. Have you or someone you love been touched by cancer, whether a diagnosis, a scare, or a family history that keeps you up at night? Tell me in the comments below. You are not alone in this room, and I read every single comment that comes through. Let's begin. Coming in at number 5, and do not underestimate this one just because it's last on the list, is cruciferous vegetables, specifically broccoli sprouts. Most people think of broccoli as just a side dish, something you steam and forget about. But broccoli, sprouts, the young 3-day-old version of the plant, contain a compound called sulforaphane. And what sulforaphane does inside the human body is nothing short of remarkable. Think of a cancer cell like a factory that never shuts down. It produces energy, it replicates, it spreads. Sulforaphane acts like a master switch that cuts the power to that factory. It does this by activating something called the NRF2 pathway. That's a gene regulatory switch that turns on your body's own cancer-suppressing proteins. Researchers at Johns Hopkins University found that broccoli sprouts contain up to 100 times more sulforaphane than mature broccoli. A clinical trial published in Cancer Prevention Research showed that participants who consumed broccoli sprout extract daily for 2 weeks saw a dramatic reduction in biomarkers associated with cancer cell proliferation. For people over 60, this matters even more because your body's natural detoxification capacity, the liver's ability to neutralize carcinogens, decreases by roughly 30 to 40% with age. Broccoli sprouts essentially give that system a reboot. The best way to consume them is raw because heat destroys the enzyme myrosinase that activates sulforaphane. Add a small handful to a salad or a smoothie every single morning. About half a cup of fresh sprouts daily is the therapeutic range. Pair them with a pinch of mustard seed powder. Studies show this combination increases sulforaphane absorption by up to 4 times. You can find the scientific references linked in the description below. I had a patient, her name was Gloria, 67 years old from Birmingham, Alabama, who came to me after her second breast cancer screening returned with atypical cells. She was terrified. We didn't start with medication. We started with food. 3 months of daily broccoli sprouts, among other changes, and her follow-up biopsy came back completely clean. Her oncologist called it unexpectedly favorable. Gloria called it a miracle. I call it science. Number 4 on our countdown is green tea, but not in the way you've been drinking it. Green tea has been used in traditional East Asian medicine for over 4,000 years, and modern oncology is finally catching up to what those ancient practitioners already knew. The key compound here is called EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate, which is the most potent catechin found in green tea. Think of EGCG like a cellular bloodhound. It seeks out abnormal cell activity and essentially tags those cells for destruction by your immune system. A meta-analysis conducted at the National Cancer Institute reviewing over 51 individual studies found that consistent green tea consumption was associated with a 28% reduced incidence of several common cancers, including colorectal, bladder, and ovarian cancer. For adults over 70, this is especially significant because your immune surveillance, your body's natural ability to detect and destroy rogue cells, declines sharply with age. EGCG essentially acts as a co-pilot for an aging immune system. Here is where most people go wrong. They brew their green tea for 30 seconds and move on. You need to brew it for 3 to 5 minutes at a temperature of around 175 degrees Fahrenheit, not boiling, to maximize EGCG extraction. 2 to 3 cups per day is the evidence-based sweet spot. Pair it with a small squeeze of lemon juice. The vitamin C in lemon has been shown to increase EGCG absorption by up to 13 times by protecting it from digestive breakdown. Do not add milk. The proteins in dairy bind to EGCG and completely neutralize its benefits. This is a great moment if you've been watching tea this far and you're finding this valuable. Please take 2 seconds to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It genuinely helps this information reach more people who need it, and that is exactly why I make these videos. Also, I'd love to know where in the world you're watching from right now. Drop your city and country in the comments below. Every single week, I'm amazed by how many countries are represented here. Whether you're in the Philippines, Nigeria, Canada, India, or right here in the United States, this channel belongs to all of you. Number 3 on our list is turmeric, combined with one specific ingredient that most people leave out. Curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, has been studied in over 3,000 peer-reviewed publications in the last 2 decades alone. The National Institutes of Health has identified it as one of the most promising natural anti-cancer compounds currently under investigation. Here is how it works at the cellular level. Cancer cells, particularly in aging bodies, are protected by something called NF-kappa B, a protein complex that essentially acts as a survival shield, telling the cell to keep growing and avoid death. Curcumin disrupts that shield directly, stripping cancer cells of their protection and leaving them vulnerable to your immune system. For adults over 65, there's another layer to this story. Chronic low-grade inflammation, what researchers call inflammaging, is the biological background noise of an aging body. This inflammation creates the perfect soil for cancer to grow in. Curcumin is one of the most powerful natural anti-inflammatory compounds ever studied, and it attacks inflammaging at the root by suppressing inflammatory cytokines. Those are chemical messengers that keep your body stuck in a state of slow-burning damage. Here is the critical piece. Curcumin on its own is almost completely useless because your body can barely absorb it. You need to combine it with black pepper, specifically a compound in black pepper called piperine, which increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. That is not a typo, 2,000%. Take half a teaspoon of turmeric with a small pinch of black pepper in warm water or golden milk every morning. Adding a small amount of healthy fat like coconut oil or full-fat coconut milk further enhances absorption because curcumin is fat-soluble. The references for these absorption studies are in the description. Meet Margaret, 72 from Portland, Oregon. Margaret was diagnosed with stage 1 colon cancer 4 years ago. After surgery, she refused to simply wait and watch. She rebuilt her diet from the ground up around curcumin, green tea, and several other compounds I'll mention today. 4 years later, she remains cancer-free. Her inflammatory markers are in the range of a healthy 45-year-old, and she told me recently that she feels better now than she did at 60. That is the power of food as medicine. Number 2 on our countdown, and this is the one that surprises people the most, is omega-3 rich fatty fish, specifically wild-caught sardines and mackerel. I know, you expected something exotic. You expected some rare berry from the Amazon or a supplement you've never heard of. But the truth is, the most powerful medicine on earth is often hiding in the most ordinary places. And omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA found in cold water fatty fish, are among the most well-documented anti-cancer nutrients in all of medical literature. Here's the mechanism. Cancer cells are coated in a membrane, and the composition of that membrane determines how aggressive it is. Divide they divide. Omega-3 fatty acids physically incorporate into cell membranes, including cancer cell membranes, and make them more rigid, more resistant to the uncontrolled division that defines malignancy. A landmark study from Harvard Medical School found that adults who consumed omega-3 rich fish at least 3 times per week had a 42% lower rate of cancer-related mortality compared to those who consume fish rarely or never. After age 75, your body loses a significant portion of its ability to synthesize anti-inflammatory compounds on its own, making dietary omega-3s not just beneficial, but essential. Sardines and mackerel are the superior choices because they are small fish at the bottom of the food chain, which means they accumulate almost no mercury or industrial toxins, a real concern with larger fish like tuna or swordfish. Aim for 3 servings per week, approximately 4 ounces each. Pair them with leafy greens dressed in olive oil. The polyphenols in olive oil and the omega-3s in fish have a documented synergistic effect on cancer cell apoptosis, which means programmed cancer cell death. And now, the #1 food that oncologists and cancer researchers are calling the most powerful natural cancer cell starver ever identified in clinical research. #1 is fermented foods, specifically high-quality kimchi and naturally fermented sauerkraut. I told you it would surprise you. Here is why this changes everything. Cancer does not just happen in a vacuum. It happens in an environment, and that environment is your gut microbiome. Researchers at the Stanford University School of Medicine published a groundbreaking study in the journal Cell, showing that a diet rich in fermented foods dramatically increases microbiome diversity. And that microbiome diversity is directly linked to the strength of your immune surveillance, your body's ability to detect and destroy cancer cells before they multiply. Participants who consume fermented foods daily showed a 19% increase in immune cell activity and a measurable reduction in 19 different inflammatory proteins, including several directly implicated in cancer progression. For people over 60, the gut microbiome has typically lost between 30 and 50% of its bacterial diversity compared to younger adults. This is called dysbiosis, and it is one of the most underappreciated drivers of cancer risk in the aging population. Fermented foods, particularly kimchi and sauerkraut made through natural lactofermentation, not vinegar brining, replenish those bacterial populations directly. Think of your microbiome like a garden. Chemotherapy, antibiotics, stress, and a poor diet are like a drought that kills off most of the plants. Fermented foods are the rain that brings the garden back to life. Consume 2 to 4 tablespoons of naturally fermented kimchi or sauerkraut daily with your largest meal. Pair it with a prebiotic fiber source, like cooked and cooled sweet potato or green banana, because prebiotics are the fertilizer that feeds the beneficial bacteria you're introducing. Do not heat the fermented food, as heat destroys the live cultures. Start with a small amount if you're new to fermented foods to give your digestive system time to adjust. The relevant studies are linked in the description below. I want you to sit with something for a moment. You have lived a full life. You have raised families, built careers, loved people, lost people, and carried more than most would ever understand. You deserve to feel strong in your body. You deserve mornings without pain, afternoons with energy, and years ahead that feel genuinely worth living. It is never too late. I say that not as a platitude, but as a medical fact. The body's capacity to heal, to rebalance, to push back against disease is extraordinary at every age. The foods we talked about today are not magic. They are information, molecular signals that tell your cells to fight harder, live cleaner, and last longer. And you deserve every single one of them. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It truly means the world that you trust me with your health, and I do not take that lightly. If this video helped you or gave you even one new idea, please subscribe to this channel and share this video with a friend or family member who needs to hear it. Now, I have one final question for you. Has cancer touched your life, either personally or through someone you love? A parent, a sibling, a spouse, a friend? If so, write their name or how they're connected to you in the comments below. Let's fill this comments section with the names of people who deserve to be fought for. And please share this video with them. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do for someone we love is simply pass along the right information at the right time. I'll see you in the next one.